most importantly at Cook, we have a big heart, and we've always had people and purpose at the heart of our strategy. We celebrated our 20th birthday last year. You can see our 20th magazine. So rather than the annual report last year, we launched this wonderful magazine. And part of our 20th celebrations is we defined what it really meant to have nourishing relationships. And most importantly, and I'll come back to this, is that to have nourishing relationships, it means that you have energised individuals with a purpose that means they can accomplish truly remarkable things. As you can see, we also enter the Sunday Times Best Companies to Work For. We do that to get a really autonomous, independent assessment on how our employees feel about working for us. We came 38th. We're really proud to be in the top 100 each year we enter. And we've also certified as a B Corp for the second time, while going through 12% growth, so we're growing rapidly. And we've always had flexible work in our handbook that says, please take 3 half days on us if you don't want to dip into precious holiday time for something that crops up. So you're probably thinking, why are we pushing flexible working? Because we're pretty good already, right? Well, there are a couple of things, really. One, we are growing really, really quickly. We anticipate doubling sales in 5 years, which is phenomenal. So we need to be really agile and forward-thinking to do that. Secondly, I was privileged to be invited to an event run by TimeWise. You may have heard of them. They're a foundation that started out as a recruitment agency to help females back into the workplace after a period of career break, for example, and returning into the workplace at the level they left on a part-time basis. They've become really, really well known and frequently asked by the Department of Work and Pensions to look into certain aspects of flexible working in the workplace. And this is where I come in. So I came to one of their meetings, and it was the conclusion of a piece of work they'd done with Pets at Home. And it was a flexible working study into flexible working in retail management. How can you enable people to progress their careers but still retain their part-time working and therefore work-life balance? That really inspired me, and I went running back into the office and said, we need to do this. And from that, we became one of 5, we were called retail pioneers, alongside Tesco, B&Q, John Lewis and Dixon's Carphone. So we're really pleased to do that, and most importantly, to try and find the learnings. So when we started on the journey with TimeWise, we also made it very clear that any learnings from the retail project we'd want to share across the rest of our business. On the screen here is the TimeWise flexibility maturity curve, and this is where they start with you. And basically they're saying is, where are you on flexible working? And at best, I would say that we were number 3 across most of our functions. That might have been optimistic in some. Our kitchen, for example, has 225 full-time employees. They only work full-time. Across others, I would say at 3, we welcome it, but still reactively. And basically, to be number 5 on this curve, you need to be able to say, talk to us about flexible working. It needs to be across all your recruitment materials. You need to be able to do what you say by being number 5. Like I say, we are a lovely company. If people approached us, we'd go, yeah, go on then, go for it. You ask us, we say yes. And that's really about allowing people to follow their dreams. So, for example, we've got a shop manager in one of our London shops, really wanted to go back to university to do a PhD in astrophysics, not a subject he'd ever need at Cook. But we said, go for it. Actually, he was so thrilled. And our approach was, well, OK, go for it. Yes, of course, you can drop a day. And pretty much stopped there, if I'm honest. We had another shop manager, again, in London. She was on year 3 of her counselling course. Again, just needed more time, so dropped a day, and that was that. And what we would say was, could you please work full-time in December? So that was probably the most science we put into it, knowing that we trade up over that busy period. What we got in return, though, was some really, really thrilled people. They could dedicate the right time to work, the right time to study, and therefore felt very loyal to us and very engaged while they were with us. And it's amazing when you see a sense of calm if you can just help them work out their working week. So what did we learn along the way? Well, flexible working means many things to many people, but 3 themes really did emerge across the business. One is perceptions. We discovered there was such a strong perception that you needed to be full-time to be a manager, particularly in retail. And I'm shocked to say that managers were saying that as much as team members. So that was a really strong perception to break down. The second was we learned through TimeWise the notion of fixed tasks and variable tasks. It sounds really obvious now you think about it, but what are the things that only a shop manager, for example, can do? And if you break that down further, it really means who can make the decision about X, Y, and Z. If you can get agreement from the leaders of each function on that basis, you really unlock then, well, what does it mean then when you drop hours? How could you write the job description in a better way so that if you are dropping a proportion of your working week, it's done in a fair way? And by doing that, in reality is there's not many decisions that only that one person can make. So you're unlocking the potential in the team around them and allowing someone to do a measured and considered reduction in the working hours and therefore benefit from the work-life balance. And third, talking about it a lot, you absolutely get understanding, and I think the other speakers have talked about that as well. One of the things that came up by talking, just asking the question about what does flexible working mean to you, we really learned that on the face of it, we are a really flexible company, but if you were newer or more junior, it was really difficult to ask for that last-minute appointment or even just to go and get your car MOT'd. Second is the infrastructure challenges. So fascinating to hear about technology. Certainly in the manufacturing side of the business, more heads working fewer hours, adding up to the same total. We don't have enough workspace. We don't have enough changing room spaces. That's a massive challenge. But ultimately, I'm excited to say we're opening a new kitchen next year, and I've banged the drum loudly, and it is going to happen. I'm confident of that. And thirdly, that people do have their own story. We've had lots of stories this morning from Ian and Amanda about different circumstances. Everyone has their own story to tell. And people genuinely worry about, will their position remain tenable when they suddenly own up to the fact that things are getting in the way? Life throws us all curveballs. So 1 year on, there's been a step change in our thinking. I've got a couple of colleagues in the audience, and they'd probably agree I did become mildly obsessed by the topic and talked about it a lot. But I'm really proud we've achieved many, many things. And I'm going to say we, because I genuinely think we've got a team on board now. So, for example, one area manager that was with us on the retail project with TimeWise actually said, I'm going to drop a day. Is that okay? I'd love to spend more time with my son and be present as he's growing up towards the end of primary school. A previous approach would have been, let's just slash your stores by 1/5, good luck, and we'll check in with you. Actually, what we did was look at it and say, well, what's the geography? What's the mileage? What's the turnover of the shops? How is this possible so that you're not completely stressed when you've reduced your working week? Secondly, we've opened up a job vacancy in a really busy shop to a job share. Again, that idea was presented to me. I wasn't the one banging the drum. And that really allowed two ladies that are fantastic as team members, loads of potential, unable to work full-time, to give it a go and see how it works out, which is incredible. We're about to open, we've got quite an ambitious shop opening plan. It's always hard for us in new territory because, believe it or not, we are relatively unknown. We open up in affluent areas. And again, someone's applied to us to say, I work for you currently, I cannot do more than 24 hours, would you consider me? Now we can. And our head of retail is saying, I reckon we could do a school hours contract. And the thing about flexible working is that it is a two-way thing. So we will say, yes, you can. This is an exciting proposition, but we'd love you to work every other Saturday and chuck a Sunday in there to make it work for both sides. In our kitchen, because we can't go part-time, we've also had an innovative solution put to us that actually 5 people, and they are mature, they've been with us for some time, could drop a day a week each. And we just cover them with one full-timer. It's a great solution. I didn't come up with it. And in HQ, we've launched a flexi-time trial. And I did that through the line managers. So I briefed them, got their consensus, they then rolled it out. So as everyone said here this morning, it's really important that it does come from line managers. They feel empowered. They seem to be the person making the decisions. They're the ones saying yes or let's talk. And it's not an HR policy. Go and talk to HR. So that's really important. And finally, we've heard about elder care. We've had the classic sandwich generation conundrum. Really talented lady in our HQ. Does quite a niche role. Her parents have dementia, needed to move in with her, whilst one daughter's doing A-levels and one is away at university, and she's sandwiched in the middle. So she had 4 weeks off. She's now reduced her hours and is working from home as well. So that I'm not convinced that would have happened 18 months ago, so that's phenomenal. Now, I'll be really honest, there's still a few people in the wider business to convince. I reckon you could probably all relate to that challenge. And as Ian said, it is really hard for people to visualise, well, how is someone going to be available then for meetings and trainings? And it's helping people to really empathise and really visualise how that might work. And then we've also put in training for Q4. We're going to train 12 flex specialists in our business, again, so they are within the business spreading the word, that when we do reduce people's contracts and write job descriptions, it's done really carefully, with thought, it's considered, that ultimately the end result is someone's really pleased to stay with us and they're not stressed because they're doing too many hours. Okay, so just last month, we launched our leadership framework, and I bet you're thinking, God, that took them a long time. They're 21 years old. We launched our values 5 years ago, and our values are our essential ingredients. And our values have really always described how do we make decisions. They guide decisions and behaviour at Cook. And what we wanted to do was really then help leaders lead through the values rather than write a completely different set of behaviours and instructions for line managers. So we launched that last month. One of our values is have fun. We do all spend loads of hours at work, and we'll spend more hours working than you sleep, unless you do sleep a lot. And the value have fun is all about making sure we enjoy work and have fun along the way. And hopefully you can see there on the right that under the have fun leadership behaviour, we have show flexibility. I mean, it's so exciting to see that in black and white. And what that does is it puts in fine print for leaders how they can really do that. We want you to show flexibility to your people. We know that if you do that, your teams will bring their best self to work. They'll be the best they can be. They won't fret about talking to you about asking for outside commitments, and then they can have fun at work because they are relaxed and all those outside worries go away. So, top 3 benefits that have emerged for us. None of these will be a surprise, but they are really, really powerful. So we've genuinely opened up our potential talent pool. We've filled vacancies much quicker, which is really, really important as we grow. Looking at what we actually need gets the right leadership in the right place at the right time, rather than always looking for that one full-time person. People have skills, all people have skills, and we can now use them in the right place and in the right way. Second, we've genuinely opened up personal growth for all. Those examples I've described about part-time people knowing they can offer more, but just didn't see it possible because the perception was you had to be full-time. We're starting to break down that barrier. And third, an engaged person with work-life balance will bring energy and creativity to their role, which is exactly what we wanted by defining nourishing relationships. And when we do that, they will add value every day to our customer and ultimately to the bottom line, which is really, really powerful. So I thought I'd leave you with my 3 top tips. One would be that your flexibility cheerleader needs bags of passion and energy for the subject. Don't make it a tick box exercise. Don't make it an HR thing. Talk, tell stories, help people see the possibilities, and it'll take you a long way. Second, again, it's been mentioned, absolutely shift the conversation from childcare to life events. It's really, really important. Life events happen to everybody, from a team member in the kitchen up to the CEO of the company. It's a fact. Let's help people work with it. You absolutely have to bust the myth that only people with childcare need to work flexibly. Nonsense. And third, include as many people as possible into the conversation, your biggest cynics, your biggest critics. And my biggest tip would be that if you say you'll provide lunch, they'll turn up and talk to you about it. Thank you.